What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Week 4 matchup of the 2024 NFL season on the road playing the Indianapolis Colts. Now, as we know, Pittsburgh sometimes can play down to competition, and of course, after a couple consecutive pretty tough victories, with Pittsburgh getting to 3-0 in the first 3 weeks of the season, with us playing relatively mistake-free football and being considered among the top 5 teams in the NFL. I had them at number 3 coming into this game behind Kansas City and Buffalo in the AFC. The Colts coming in just with just one win so far and really not looking very good at all, to be honest. The quarterback looking pretty rough out there. Anthony Richardson, incredibly athletic, but making some bad decisions, making some extraordinary throws and some of the worst throws that I've seen from a starting quarterback in a long time. The offense just not buzzing. The Colts running defense being ranked the worst in the NFL. So all things on paper had Pittsburgh either coming in and dominating here against Indianapolis, our weakest opponent so far, or playing down to competition, being involved in a trap game and losing. Guess which one happened? I just got out last night from the hospital. I had a hospital stay last night, still wearing my hospital IV gauze because my IV marking is hurting me quite a bit. And I should have just stayed in the hospital because Pittsburgh is determined to give me a heart attack. As soon as you think you have figured out that Pittsburgh is going to win with the number 1 defense in the league and a sputtering, kind of slow, shaky offense that's not fancy but gets it done, turns on the run game in the second half, holds the ball, runs the time in possession, doesn't make mistakes. You think Pittsburgh has got it figured out. They're playing against the weakest team on their schedule so far, and they go to Indianapolis and lose, and almost lose in a blowout. Pittsburgh comes out really lackluster. But we've been doing this on offense pretty much all season, starting slow. But defensively, just getting our butts kicked. Indy comes down like they've got something to prove. They came in as underdogs, and they came in with something to prove, that they could be better than they've shown this season so far. And they ran the ball down our throats with Jonathan Taylor, who is a very good running back, but is not as good as we made him look today, I don't think. Ran the ball with Jonathan Taylor. All of a sudden, you see Josh Downs back from injury. He makes a big impact. Michael Pittman, who I just cut from my fantasy team this week because he's been terrible all season, goes over 100 yards and starts getting really nice tight catches, getting downfield. They're stretching the ball. They're taking shots. Richardson is taking chances. The running game is working. They're pushing our line back. The defense is getting beat up. We get down 17-0 early in this game. Start to make a bit of a comeback and then make mistakes. The story of this game is getting behind a lot, defense not being able to get off the field on third down, and the offense making mistakes and shooting themselves in the foot. Just a lot of bad stuff in this game today. And yeah, some penalties and things if you want to point to. There was one drive where Minkah Fitzpatrick had gone shoulder to shoulder with a receiver that was going down the sidelines, and they called a big personal foul penalty, which the Colts went down and scored on. If you want to look at that, yeah, but just a lot of dumb mistakes on our part today. Namely, George Pickens on our best drive of the day in the first half, coming down to try and make it a 1-score game, or I think it was a 10-point game going into halftime. Pickens gets a nice long catch, breaks a tackle, goes to keep going down the sideline. We're at like the 10-yard line. Pickens only holding the ball with one hand, has the ball knocked out, pops it up in the air, fumbles to the Colts, points off the board. Another time, the Colts are down there looking for a touchdown. JPJ has an interception in his hands, jumps a nice play, drops the interception. The Colts go on to score. So plays like that, when you got a chance to score points on a long drive and you get a turnover, or if you're about to get an interception and take points off the board and you don't get the interception, stuff like that eventually comes back to bite you in the butt. Plays that our defense was making all year long, they were not making today. Only 2 sacks today, and TJ Watt and Nick Herbig, who was playing for Alex Highsmith, were not on the board really with anything massive in this game. We'll talk over stats, but you'll kind of see where I give my pluses and minuses to. Pittsburgh does get down big and then continually gives up points, 17 in the first half and then 10 in the second half. Started off with 3 punts in the second half for the defense, but then started giving up gashing plays, keeping the Colts on field on third down. But Justin Fields did answer, mostly with his legs, did start making some nice throws downfield, but was really trying to carry the team on his back, on his legs, getting some nice first down design runs, getting a lot of good stuff in the goal line, running through tackles at the goal line to get into the end zone. The offensive line Man, we'll talk about it. Let's go stats first. Justin Fields, statistically, by far his most impressive day. First half didn't look like much. Second half really came out. And like I said, mostly by running, but then by starting to get some passing going as well, taking some shots. When he's decisive, he can deliver that ball. 22 of 34, 312 passing yards, 1 touchdown and no picks, plus 10 carries for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So again, looking to run more than you would like him to, but that's because we were getting down by a lot and we had to get faster series on offense. So Fields was looking to just hurry up and move the ball. So all in all, Justin Fields, over 360 total yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions or fumbles. So you got to feel good about that. I will say one thing on Fields, and I think this is going to go against the line, in my opinion. Fields having trouble getting snaps has been a problem all season. Fumbled 2 in the preseason, and then has had at least 1 snap exchange issue every single game this year. He had 2 this game. On the first series, one of the linemen stepped on his feet as he was dropping back and he fell over and almost got a bobbled handoff. And then he fumbled a snap. I think it was on Zach Frazier. Fields wasn't looking for it. It didn't seem like it was his time. Some of the timing was off between Frazier and Fields, like it's been every single game this season. Twice in preseason and at least 4 times so far in 4 games the regular season. Frazier snaps it too early or Fields is not looking for it when he should be. I tend to think this one's on Fields, but it winds up being a big fumbled snap and loses us 20 yards and gets us out of field goal range, not field goal range, but makes us, the clock has to run, we have to hurry. This is when we're going down to try to tie or win the game on the last drive of the game. Takes us way back, cost us a lot of time, and we of course go down to lose 27-24. So we could have been tying things up. Another play that's on Fields in the negative is Fields was trying to scramble on a sack play, doesn't just go down or throw the ball away, tries to run back in the backfield, runs an extra 10 yards down to the 50 and loses like 25 yards on a sack play that he easily could have thrown away. Even if he had just gone down 10 yards before, could have given us a long field goal attempt. Had he thrown it away, it would have been an easy field goal attempt. Instead, he takes like a 15-yard sack play, which takes us out of field goal range. And again, when you lose a game by 3 points, field goals make a big difference. So Fields with some really negative plays, but all in all as a whole, again, 312 in the air and a touchdown, was really starting to sling the ball with conviction for the most part. Didn't make any really bad throws, made some really nice strong arm throws. Also, like I said, best game with his feet so far this season, showing you as an athlete what he can do, arms and legs. But you got to avoid the snap stuff he's had all season, and you got to avoid taking sacks. I know the line wasn't doing us any favors, but that was the negative on Fields. So overall, Fields gets a big positive for us, but I'm going to give him the negative 2 for the slow start and for the 2 big negative plays. We're going to give Fields a plus and a minus here. Najee Harris, I lean more toward the minus with. 13 carries for 18 yards, does have 3 catches for 54 yards, so his total yardage doesn't look bad in this game with over 70. But all in all here, 13 carries, 18 yards, almost a yard a carry. This Colts team was the last ranked rushing defense in the NFL. With our style and our play calling and our offense going against their defense, we should have been easily getting big yardage here. And I'm not going to put this all on Najee. Again, the offensive line was pretty atrocious today, and we'll talk about them. But when I say this, Cordero Patterson came in with 6 carries for 43 yards. So he was the big spark on this team. He had 1 drive where he got a really nice pass reception for a first down and then like 4 consecutive good runs. He had like 5 touches for 50 yards on the drive that he played until he went down with an injury. So we came in without Jaylen Warren today. He was already hurt. We enacted Aaron Shamklin off the practice squad this week. And then after one really phenomenal drive, the Patterson start getting us going. He gets hurt. And now on a team with Najee, Warren, Patterson, we are now down to Aaron Shamklin. Najee at one point got hurt as well, but came back on the same drive. So Najee's still healthy, but a little banged up. And Aaron Shamklin is now our number 2 until we can figure out what's going on with Warren and now with Patterson. So we are in shambles in the run game, which is crazy to think about when you think about our depth coming into the season. So considering Patterson was running so well on the drive that he was in, you got to think Najee gets part of the blame here in spite of our line being bad. So I'm going to give Najee a plus/minus, but mostly a minus here. Receiving, George Pickens, he's going to get a plus/minus. He leads the team today, 7 catches for 113 yards, makes a couple really nice sideline plays. He does the out routes well, the comebacks well, made several one-on-one catches that were in very small space and very tight coverage. So I want to give Pickens credit for some really nice catches, but he does have 2 very detrimental plays. One was he caught the ball at about the 10-yard line, broke a tackle and tried to get more, didn't hold the ball, held his arm out inbounds with one hand on the ball and fumbled it back into bounds and cost us points, and then also dropped a touchdown. He had a touchdown. Wasn't like the world's best throw. I think it was a little behind him, but it was very much in his hands. When a guy like George Pickens gets 2 hands on the ball, you got to catch it. So touchdown drop and a fumble today. You got to give a minus on that, but he did get 113, leading us in catches plus a few nice ones. So plus/minus for George Pickens. Pat Freiermuth, 5 catches, 57 yards and a touchdown. Had a couple really nice ones. One at the end of the first half, leading us to a field goal on some broken tackles. In the second half, goes and catches a ball at the 4-yard line, breaks several tackles, keeps his legs up, extends his arm, gets a touchdown. So Pat could make some nice plays. I like that Calvin Austin had a 30-yard return in the kick return game, but also had a nice catch in a tight window where he made a good catch, took a hit and held on to it. Good to see him getting involved. Darnell Washington had 2 nice plays showing athleticism, breaks a tackle on a stiff arm, goes down the sidelines, hurdles a guy, lands on his feet. I want to see him get more involved in the offense. More for Calvin, more for Washington, please. Both those guys are electric in different ways, and I want to see them get more opportunities. Van Jefferson gets 1 catch in this game on 2 targets as well. Offensive line, I got to give the biggest minus to. Part of this goes into injuries. Nate Herbig out for the season, coming into this season before he gets to play. And then Troy Fautanu goes down on the IR, so Broderick Jones, who you had benched, comes back in to start. They wind up moving Mason McCormick in to start for Spencer Anderson, who's played pretty good this season. And I know Spencer Anderson's more diverse, and you wanted him to be your swing tackle, and he wound up coming in to play guard in this game anyway, so this would have happened regardless. But nothing against Mason McCormick. He's played okay so far in brief snaps, but you put in Mason McCormick and you move Spencer Anderson, who's played well. This is partially an injury issue, because again, we're down Herbig. We've been down Sayamalu all season so far. He's due to come back soon, but he's down. James Daniels went down. Troy Fautanu's down for the season now. Daniels got hurt in this game, so they had to move. So McCormick stayed in. Spencer Anderson moved from tackle to guard. He went from starting tackle to swing tackle to guard all in 1 week. So a lot of this comes down to injuries. Any team that you're losing Fautanu, you're losing Herbig, you're losing Sayamalu, you're losing starters and replacing them with rookies. That is a big, big problem. So injuries we can't help, but that has been decimating our line. The other issue we can help is Mike Tomlin needs to stop rotating and swinging people around. When you draft somebody in their spot, keep those guys in their spot. All this moving around, back-to-back seasons with Broderick Jones, and you try and move Dan Moore, and you can't move Dan Moore, so you move Broderick Jones around. Then you draft Troy Fautanu, and you move him around. And then he winds up starting for Broderick Jones, and then he gets hurt, so Jones comes back in. And then you bring in Spencer Anderson, but you're going to take him back out for a rookie for whatever reason, because you want to move Spencer back to tackle on the other side. Then Spencer has to come play guard. Granted, the Spencer playing guard wasn't his fault, but Tomlin has to stop moving these guys around. That way you get no guys playing their natural spots. They got to learn different assignments all the time, and there's no continuity on the line. Offensive lines play best when they can play together in the same spots over and over again. Stop moving these guys around. Injuries suck, and they're killing us on the line, but Tomlin is doing us no favors. Stop moving guys around. Stop using rotations unless you have to, like we did today with James Daniels. Hopefully Daniels is healthy after this game. I don't know what the injury report is. We haven't got it yet. So Daniels is down. He has to come back. Sayamalu hopefully should be good for next week. We hope he's a big loss we need back. We are banged up on the line, and it shows with Najee getting 18 yards rushing. But like I said, with Patterson 43 and Fields 55 and 2 touchdowns, the rushing numbers look a lot better than they actually are because of those guys. Big negative for the offensive line, but again, partially on injuries. Defensively, only 2 sacks today. Positives for Cam Hayward, who was all around the ball today, a few hits on the quarterback, plus 1.5 sacks. The other half sack goes to Beanie Bishop. I want to give Cam a plus for the run game and the pass game today. I want to give Beanie a plus. He's been covering pretty well. Got off the edge for a half sack, made a nice pressure on the quarterback today. Also, has been covering pretty well considering the fact that he's so young and so fresh in there. So Beanie Bishop plays well today. Anthony Richardson got hurt. Joe Flacco came in. They didn't miss a beat. Joe Flacco was solid. He's always been a good backup or a good veteran journeyman, whether it's on Cleveland, whether it's on Baltimore, whether it's here. He has always been a solid quarterback. Even I think he played for the Jets for a year. He can come in and sling it no matter where he is, and he did it again today. Joe Flacco's always been a Steeler killer, and he did it today as well. Hard guy to stop. I want to give some pluses on defense to Deshaun Elliott, who had 8 tackles today. He is the defensive MVP of this team this year. What an unsung hero. What a freaking amazing pickup. Best pickup in 2 years from Omar Khan. This guy is a beast. He's everywhere. He's covering, he's hitting, he's playing pass coverage, he's catching up on trails. He had a forced fumble today. 8 tackles and a forced fumble for Elliott. They recovered it, but Elliott's been everywhere. The guy's electric. He's quick. He has good play recognition. He's hitting. He's finishing tackles. I love this guy. Larry Ogunjobi, again, what a season. For a team that has 2 good guys in Cam and Benton that play well every week, Ogunjobi has been tackling in the run game better than anybody else on this team. Positives for Ogunjobi. I'm going to give a couple of negatives out in this game as well. JPJ is going to get a negative. Made a couple of nice coverage plays, almost got 2 picks that he dropped. One was on a really nice gamble play. The other was in the end zone. Blame him for the end zone one. Nice recognition, but didn't catch it. And the other play was a good play on him. But got beat all day for the most part today. Their receivers, Michael Pittman, really abused him on slants a lot today. Slants and short outs. He got abused on. Dante Jackson had his worst game of the season as well. I like him a lot this year, but he was getting beat a few times by Pittman, but also by some guys off the edge, namely Josh Downs, who came back and I think had like 80-something yards, if not over 100, as their number 2. So they beat us pretty consistently. Also, the linebackers had struggle in coverage today. Queen got beat on 1. Peyton Wilson got beat on 1. Queen overall gets a positive. He was all over the field today, tackling, making himself known, but did get beat on a coverage play. And then I think it was Peyton Wilson got beat on the touchdown play to Ogletree. So the linebackers and the corners had trouble covering today as they passed the ball all over us. I'm gonna give T.J. Watt a negative in this game. Not like he made any negative plays, but for a team when you expect him to explode after having 3 good games to open the season, he was completely off the stat sheet today. Whatever the Colts did to cover him and also still cover Herbig on the other side, those 2 linemen have been a terror. Even without Highsmith, you expect those guys to do a lot. They did nothing today off the edge. No real pressure. Even with the backup quarterback in there, they didn't force a lot of errant throws. So good scheming to cover the edges by the Colts today. Special teams wise, Boz 1 for 1. Boswell makes his field goal and his extra points. Good game. Cordless Waitman, low average, but 3 punts for 103 yards, only an average of 34.3 yards per punt, but 2 of those 3 punts were inside the 20, so short fields today, so we're not going to hold much against Waitman. Again, the nice 30-yard return from Calvin Austin to stay on his feet among tacklers, make a nice play by using his hand to stay up and running down 30 yards downfield, so a good return there. So overall, Pittsburgh needs to avoid injuries, they need to avoid dumb penalties, they need to cover better like they have been up until today, and tackle in the run game better like they have up until today. Defense breaks down a lot. Penalties, injuries, offense starts too slow and gets behind by too much, and Fields is relied on with his legs too much because the O-line is in shambles right now. So Pittsburgh has a nice valiant effort to come back to get within 3 points, scores a lot of nice second-half touchdowns, puts up 24 points, but still manages to lose. I put this one more on the defense than the offense, obviously, but Pittsburgh falls to 3-1. We're not in dire straits by any means, but this is a game we should have won. So while it's only our first loss and we're 3-1, it is still a bad loss to an inferior team, in my opinion. Tell me in the comments below what you think, who stood out to you positively and negatively. Tell me in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe to these Steeler Deep Dive videos if you want another one, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Go Steelers. Hopefully we all do better next week.